let's get down to business. Thanks for coming out tonight.
I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet for you to get.
Oh, I make money moves.
You can't see me, my time is now.
What up? Welcome back to another episode of the MassiveJoes Show podcast. My name's Joseph Mencel. I am your host. I'm joined by my sidekick, MassiveJoes General Manager, Steve Mills, a.k.a. Big Neve.
I'm not a sidekick, mate.
No, you are, man.
See how I use the word mate?
Yeah.
See how I said, I'm not your sidekick, mate? It's because I didn't like him then.
What would you like me to call you? Because I've been introducing you. I was, you're Robin. I'm Batman.
I don't know how it's socially acceptable, but we were talking to Seth about how we use we block it out, we use the word cunt for friends.
Oh, we don't have
and we call people mate who we don't like. So that's why I use the word mate, because I fucking wanted to kill him just then for calling me a sidekick.
I could say apprentice.
Okay, I'm following. These are things I kind of can take home, but not.
Yeah.
Partner in crime.
I can't say cunt back home now.
Anyway, episode 13 of the MassiveJoes Show. Big Neve, did you know 13 is my lucky number?
It is.
And it's feeling particularly lucky because we have a treat for you guys in this episode 13, a very special guest here at MassiveJoes headquarters in the ADL, and it is, of course, the one, the only hard-working motherfucker, Seth Feroce.
What's happening?
How are you, man?
I'm loving life, man. It's
I
really
can
cool.
tell.
I'm having a ball here. I feel like I belong here. Like this is. I didn't know what to experience when I came here. I didn't know what to expect, but now I feel very welcomed.
A little bit of context for the listeners or the viewers, depending on whether you're listening or watching. So Seth has come down for the first time to Australia and was at the MassiveJoes Mega Booth over the Arnold Classic Australia weekend. And then because, you traveled so far to get here, and, it's not a short flight from the US to get here. Well, from Pittsburgh is where you're from. So pretty much the east coast of the US, east side of the US, has been traveling around and doing events and seminars and workouts and effectively touring for the last couple of days, and is here in Adelaide at MassiveJoes headquarters for the final event of the tour, which is going down a little after we finish recording this podcast, as a matter of fact. But Seth, welcome to the MassiveJoes Show podcast. We have every single time we release a podcast, we get a bunch of new listeners, new viewers coming in. So for those of you, if this is your first time tuning into the MassiveJoes Show, fitness times business is kind of our thing. So usually what we do is we take a topic and we discuss it in the realm of fitness, and then we take that same topic and we discuss it in the realm of business. But when we have special guests come in on the podcast, like we have Seth in this episode 13, we like to make sure that those special guests are able to kind of touch on a little bit of fitness, a little bit of business, have experience, have background in both. And Seth obviously ticks all those boxes. Yep. And then what we like to do is we kind of do an episode of getting to know the special guest. So that's what this episode is going to be. It's going to be getting to know Seth Feroce. For those of you who don't know, and for those of you who do know, you're about to delve a little bit deeper into the background of this man right here.
Damn
so,
right.
Seth, man, introduce yourself. If you were meeting someone for the first time, because we're going to go balls deep in the background, right? But if you had to meet someone for the first time, how would you introduce yourself?
Give you a little intro, shock everybody here, just to mess with everybody. Like whenever I get this happened probably maybe a year ago, people started to recognize they knew me from YouTube videos. Yeah. But they'd be like, "You're so familiar. How do I know you?"
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Oh, I do gay porn." And they'd be like, No, you don't. No, you don't. And I'm like, "Yeah."
I definitely don't know you from that.
So I used to, it was a great icebreaker, but then I'd go in and I'd be like, "Oh, the YouTube." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, YouTube." But right now, I always introduce myself as your favorite IFBB Pro. And it was just something that I was just joking around with back home, and then it stuck in all the videos. Yeah. But social media has changed everything. So I always introduce myself as an IFBB Pro Bodybuilder, and then people are like, "Oh, okay," like Arnold or like Jay Cutler or Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates, they'll remember those names. And then I'll be like, but with social media, I kind of became a social media sensation in the fitness industry, and then lead into that. But that's typically how I do it. And then they see a shirt that says "hardworking motherfucker," an AAR shirt, and then they're like, "Well, what's that?" Like, it looks intense. Yeah. And then I lead into that about the apparel brand and everything.
Go from there. Yeah. So you are You are an IFBB Pro Bodybuilder.
Correct.
And have been for the better part of a decade now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
We'll
get into how that all kind of came about. But just to kind of give a bit of context, so IFBB Pro Bodybuilder, you own your own apparel line, which is called All American Roughneck.
Correct.
You now own your own supplement line, which is called Axe and Sledge.
Correct.
You run an incredibly popular YouTube channel with, I believe, over 300,000 subs.
Yeah, we're like at 340 now.
300,000 plus subscribers on the way to 1 million, as we were discussing before the podcast. We can get that golden YouTube button.
I won't.
And yeah, social media sensation, I think, is probably a pretty fitting term.
Yeah.
So give us the background, man. Where did this all start? How did you get to all of those things I just listed?
So it's I was the young kid that like had a dream.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, my parents told me I could be anything I wanted to. I was 15, 16 years old, and I was like, I wanted to be a pro bodybuilder. And of course, like, people tell you that's fucking stupid or it's not going to happen, this and that. But I just wanted to be a pro bodybuilder. Jay Cutler was my idol. I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be on stage, look huge, just because I used to be the fat kid growing up. So I got made fun of and all that happy shit. And the lifting weights was like my escape. And it was my escape for pretty much anything in life. And just gravitated towards the gym, bodybuilding. Went to a cool gym back home called York's Gym, and that's where I had good guys teach me how to lift weights, teach me how to eat, and all that happy stuff. And then it just continued to compound over time. And it was all I did. Lifting weights was my shit. And I always wanted to compete, but I was always really insecure with myself. And so I finally, long story short with that, when I was 24 years old is whenever I was like, I got to compete. So from the time I was 16 till 24, I just trained my balls off, dude.
Yeah.
That's all I did. And I lived like a bodybuilder, everything, ate like a bodybuilder, the whole nine. People would ask me if I compete. I'm like, no. And it was because I wanted to look perfect on stage, which is next to impossible, as everyone knows. Like, you're going to have flaws. But I was like, I don't want that, because I was really insecure. Like, I still had that fat kid mentality. And I was like, I don't want to go on stage and get made fun of. And so at that point, that's whenever I was like, okay, 24 years old in 2008, I was like, I'm going to compete in 2009. 2009, I was like, I'm going to do the Northern Kentucky show. Then I'm going to do the Mr. Pittsburgh show, which is like the biggest amateur show in the United States, because Jim Mannion, he runs the NPC and IFBB. He lives in Pittsburgh, so it's a big show. And then I wanted to do North Americans or Nationals, where you turn pro. Everybody knows that's kind of a fucking long shot.
Especially in your first season of competing, right?
New guy, never competing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I went and did the Northern Kentucky. At the Northern Kentucky, I won the heavyweight division. So I qualified for a national show, but there was like, I just was off. It was my first show. I had a little bit of water, didn't know how to get rid of it, all that happy shit. And then I was going on to the Pittsburgh 5 weeks later. But before the Pittsburgh, there was a show in Cleveland, Ohio, which is about 3 hours away from my hometown in Pittsburgh. And there, I wanted to get in front of one of the judges that was going to be at the Pittsburgh show. Well, the Muscular Development magazine was there taking pictures. And I was like, okay, like, I want to get on stage and pose. So I got on stage and I was posing, and people were like, who the fuck are you? I'm like, I'm Seth, nice to meet you. How you doing? They're like, where'd you come from? But that photographer for Muscular Development was snapping pictures of me. And he was snapping pictures of me, and he sent it out to like Steve Bleckman from Muscular Development, sent it out to Honey Rambaud, George Fair, like all these big time people in the industry, and said, look at this kid that just showed up in Cleveland. And I was like, great, but then a week later, I got a phone call and was like, hey, Honey Rambaud wants to work with you. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So we started working together right there before the Pittsburgh. We won the light heavyweight class in Pittsburgh, won the overall, won everything. And then I went on a roller coaster ride of let's try and turn pro in 2009. So that's whenever I went to nationals that year and won the light heavyweight division and turned pro in 8 months.
That's unheard of.
That doesn't happen. So
No.
I went so we went to nationals, and there's a fucking ridiculous amount of like mini stories and micro stories in there that just flipped and turned my stomach, and it was a wild ride, just like anybody goes through in competition. But yeah, from March of 2009 to November of 2009, I went from my first show to turning pro.
I mean, how in that 10 years, how much has your physique changed in 10 years? Like, were you...
Oh, massive.
Massively?
Yeah. I was, when I was 20 years old, that's whenever I was like 177 pounds. I was in really good shape, abs, looked like a fucking model, great jawline, everything.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever I delved into the dark side of bodybuilding and started saying I got to put on a physique. And that's whenever, from the time I was 20 to 24, that's when everything really changed. And I was like around 235 pounds.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I am right now.
Yeah.
It was much softer, and we had to work down to get to light heavyweight, which was 197.
Yeah.
Diced. So it was wild.
Absolutely.
But along the way, I always wanted to be, someone really special. And being the young guy, I was like the young white hype. I was like the young white kid, clean cut, look good, how to fit great into physique back then.
Yeah.
Great jawline. But now, along that time, I was like, oh, everybody has their dreams, owning something, whether it be apparel or owning a supplement company, all that shit, it costs a lot of money, but you really don't understand. And at that point, bodybuilders are most bodybuilders are broke as shit. And I was broke at the time, just like anybody. I was 24 or 25 years old, trying to make it in the industry, and I did. And I got sponsorships, started making great money, loving life. But you can get eaten up by the industry.
Of course.
And along the way, I disappeared in 2013. I had a really great run. 2010, after I turned pro, I went on to do the Dallas Europa show, and it was 202 at the time, and I won my pro debut there. So I did 5 shows, 1, 2, 3, 4. I did 4 shows, and in 4 shows, I won every single show I competed in. So I was starting to think I was pretty special. Get tied up. Young kids starting to make, I was making $100,000 a year. I was doing well for myself. 2 years ago, I was making nothing, comparatively. So, and then in 2011, took time off. 2012, because I wanted to go to the open class. So in 2012, I went and did the open class, and I shit the bed. My body just completely went to shit. And so at that point, that's whenever I didn't handle things too well. That was the first time I lost. I was 26 years old, young kid, didn't know how to lose, barely knew how to win, because at that time I thought I was learning so much winning. And looking back, no, you learn shit when you lose. Yeah. And I acted like a child. So I started blaming other people. My home life was not doing really well. The industry was eating me up. And that's whenever I was like, oh shit, I was like, I don't know if I like this anymore. But having sponsorships, they were like, hey, you need to compete in the 212s. I was like, I don't want to, but I need to if I want to keep my contracts. So in 2012, I went to do the Sarasota show. That was I think it was called the Golden Cup or some shit. Was in Sarasota, do a 212 show, and I worked my ass off. I did so much cardio, dieted, you name it, I was doing it. And then like a week out from the show, my body started failing. Like I was starting to look kind of funky. I didn't know why. I was just doing everything. And at the time, Hani and I stopped working together because I hated him after Toronto and blamed him for the whole fuck up. And then that's in Sarasota. That's whenever I was like, oh man, didn't look good. After that, I was like, I'm done. I hate this. Home life was a mess. My career wasn't going well. 3 days after I lost a show in Sarasota and didn't do well, I got a letter in the mail saying that my contract was canceled for muscular development. I was like, okay, so I went from making all this money to not making all this money. I had my muscle tech contract at the time, but that was it. So that's whenever I said, that's it. I'm fucking done. I'm going off. I don't want anything to do with bodybuilding. My home life was a mess. I wanted to go fix my home life. I wanted to get a regular job, and I wanted to be normal. I just wanted to be normal. And looking back at it, I'm not normal. I'm a little exceptional. So that's whenever I went back to Western PA. I got a job. I was working with my buddy building fences. I started doing a lot of landscape work, building walls, cutting grass, you name it. I had a family, so I did anything to make ends meet and left bodybuilding in the dust. And then I started hating landscape. But I didn't want to go back to bodybuilding because I wasn't training much at the time either. And then after that, I said I want to go back in the safety sciences. That's what I got a degree in. So I went to safety sciences. I got a job as a consultant. Then I started fucking hating that too. There was a void missing. It was bodybuilding. Yeah. I missed it. Missed it. I love this industry. It's the coolest fucking thing in the world to me, even though it ate me up once and shit on me and a lot of bad things happened. But I was like, I miss it and I love it. I want to go back into it. So then I was like, but if I go back into it, I kind of got to do it on my terms. I want to do it on my terms. I want to do it my way. I don't want to be held back. I don't want to, because that's when social media had come alive. 2015 is when I started paying attention again. Sure. And fucking social media was rampant. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook was becoming obsolete, you know? I'm like, holy fuck, this is crazy. And then I was like, I'm going to come back. But if I come back, I want to come back as myself. I want to come back as me. I don't want to be told what to do. I want to do what I want to do. And I want to have something that fucking means something, that has me attached to it. And at the time, I was a consultant. So I was working in the construction industry, oil and gas industry. I was working in, manufacturing. And I was around all American roughnecks. I was around the hardworking blue-collar men of America. And I realized that all they wanted to do was be a good dude. They wanted to raise their family, have a nice house, have a nice car, take their family on vacations. All the typical shit that when I learned about the Australians here is the same thing.
Very much so.
Very basic, simple-minded, good motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if I come back, I want to make that cool again. Because when I looked on Instagram, I didn't see that. I didn't see people being good people. I saw a lot of fakeness. Nobody was being themselves. It was almost like they put on the show, like I used to put on the show of being the clean-cut white kid, of all this happy-go-lucky shit. Whenever I'm a foul-mouthed son of a bitch, that's just, this is how I am. So I was like, if I come back, it's going to be my way. And that's whenever I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to have? And that's where AAR started.
And that's really where the business kicks in, right? Is 2015, because before that it was
all fitness.
It was all fitness. It was all bodybuilding. It was, there was no business really.
No, I didn't know it.
Yeah,
I didn't know how to handle it. And that's whenever I was like, okay, if I come back, I got to start using my head. Yeah. Because if I come back into this industry that ate me up and spit me out, like I was a piece of meat, I was like, I got to become something that's a little above and beyond what I was before. So I was like, okay, I knew about business. My dad owns a business. He's owned it for 41 or 42 years now. Yeah. So I was like, okay, let's do T-shirts. But if you have a T-shirt, you got to have a meaning behind it. Got to have something behind it. And that's where we have, the all-American roughneck, that hardworking motherfucker, the good dude that does good. He might have made some mistakes, but he corrects them. He understands them. He accepts them for what they are and becomes better. Works hard for his family. Honest man. That's what we wanted to make, and with a little bit of an edge, and I was like, okay. So I met Bob, my business partner, and I was like, I don't know anything about computers. I don't know anything about fucking websites. I don't know anything about it, but we'll figure it out. And he did. He knew it all. So that's where he and I met and started the animal. And after that, we came out in January 20th of 2016. I signed with Blackstone Labs. I was working with them. They were like, we love the video. We love the concept. We love it all. And along the way, we'll just continue to do a little fast track through it. With them, I separated with them because I felt like I wasn't working with them well. Like my image didn't work well with their brand. Decent guys, just wasn't working out. Never treated me bad, never nothing. It was good. They always treated me incredibly well, but it was time for me to separate. And then at that time, I had the visions of owning my own supplement company one day, but you need a lot of fucking money to start those up. They just don't come out of thin air. And I was like, knowing that, I was like, okay, I was doing well with AAR. So we signed with Primeval Labs, but owning your own supplement company is a little bit of a fucking nightmare. You guys know. We know. It takes a lot of work. This ain't no bullshit. Anything in business that it can become a wild animal, bro, you're going to do a lot of fucking work.
Of course.
And I was like, so that's where I came in and I said, we worked with Primeval and it was going great. But after working with them for roughly a year, I was like, I think it's time for me to do my own thing. I think it's time, because it's not that there was anything wrong with their products or anything wrong with them. I just wanted to make my own. I I wanted to create my own penis showing game. It's from a movie. I was like, I wanted to do my own thing. I want to make my own money. And I want to do things my way. And at that point, we met Pat and Mike, who are the other owners of Axe and Sledge. So there's 4 owners to the company. We all have our roles. Everybody told me don't go into fucking business with people. Don't ever have a partner. It's the dumbest fucking thing in the world. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not that good at a couple things. I really suck at those things.
I got some gaps I need filled.
And I know, and that's that part of business that's, you got to be able to swallow that pill that you're like, you're either fucking good at this and not at that. Like, to be good at everything, it's like, it's very tough to do. And you're always going to need a support system. And we figured out that we all had significant roles. So we stay in our lanes. I'm the face of the company. I'm the one that had the vision of all of this. I'm the one that had like how I wanted this to go. And whenever I met them and we discussed it, it was all like, oh, fuck. All of you, we're all on the same page. Like, we all see this. So, that's when we decided that we were going to start Axe and Sledge supplements. And we had the vision of what I wanted to. We wanted to make something that was above the bar of what most people do. We wanted to make quality products. We wanted to use top-end ingredients. We wanted to take my personality of being the hardworking motherfucker and make sure that there weren't gaps in our products. We wanted to make sure that everything that we do, people see and they say, oh shit, this is a little bit different. Because everyone knows that it takes a lot of money to do this. And Bob and I, with All American Roughneck and meeting Pat and Mike, we're like, all right, gentlemen, we're either going to go balls deep with this or we're not going to do it at all. So all of us put it all on the fucking line. And if you put your dick on the chopping block, you're like, if it gets cut off, I guess at least we tried, right? So, and luckily it worked. And we hold ourselves to a very high standard. And that's what's great about having a team like this, because every single day we operate to our best abilities in our realm. And no one really deviates because you don't really know. I mean, I have the vision, but when it comes to dealing with certain situations or problems or issues, I might become a little bit of a dick at a time when I should be really calm and cool and collected. So that's why Pat and Mike are phenomenal at what they do. You know this.
Definitely level you out a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
but it's so along the road. I mean, from beginning to end, I'll put it this way. If you would have told me 5 years ago I'd be in Australia headlining this really cool experience and this tour, I'd have been like, go fuck yourself. I got to go to work tomorrow morning. 4 a.m. comes around really soon. But no, here I am. So everybody listening and watching or whatever it has, that had a vision or think of something that they could do, bro, no, it can happen. It can. You just got to do a whole lot of work, and you might lose some sleep, and you might lose some friends, and wife might fucking hate your guts for a little bit, but it'll all be worth it.
Man, there's so much to unpack here. So much.
Oh, it was wild.
So much.
It's been a fucking ride that is unexplainable.
Yeah.
The ups, the downs, the like I said, all the little stories that are intertwined with all of it.
Yeah.
And somehow I come out like smelling like roses right now. I know I got a little bit more shit that I got to get through.
Of course.
But like...
it probably has you wondering like, what the fuck's next, right?
It's funny because even in that 20 minutes that we've just done this episode, you've already spoken about 3 topics that we've spoken about in podcasts in before that you wouldn't even know about. We've spent an hour and a half talking about it, you've broken it down in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But
you've done a very good job just like giving us a very quick contiguous tour of your life, by the way.
But like the 3 things where you said about when you gone from your dad owning his business and then your landscaping business taught you a lot about business in the first place. Yeah. And I think a lot of people that wouldn't realize is how difficult it is to start not just a business, but just start a supplement or an apparel business. I mean, if you see that many IFBB pros that probably would start, but they've got no fucking clue because they've been spoon-fed since they're 18, especially with this social media age, and they're not working hard. They haven't known how to run a business. They haven't known what it takes, really.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's that there. There's also the branding through Axe and Sledge, which we can jump into later on, the branding of a business, and how people say, how do I start a business? Well, it's easy just to put fucking letters on a t-shirt, but how do you actually fucking sell it?
Yeah.
And why do people want to buy All American Roughneck and Axe? So when you come here at MassiveJoes, and I'm sure you've seen everyone walking around here, is 75% of our employees are wearing your apparel.
I know.
but that doesn't happen though. Like with other companies, I mean, this is probably the only company bar one or two that I've seen where people actually want to wear your apparel. I mean, like me and Joel wear it 2 or 3 days a week. And then the other thing that comes down to it is focusing on your strengths and knowing what your strengths are, and then not being afraid to ask for help. And that's what we've spoken about in a lot of podcasts before, is that whether you double down on your strengths, know when to ask for help, know what to focus on.
So a lot of the cliche shit that you see on Instagram from like entrepreneurs is real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I know what I'm really good at and I know what I'm really bad at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, if I'm really good at something, then I got to do it to the best of my abilities. Like I always tell people, like it caught fire in a couple videos, was be the best motherfucker you can be. So that means that like whenever you at every dimension of your life, whether you're a husband, you're a husband, a father, an employee or employer, whenever you go from place to place, don't half-ass any of them. If you fucking whole-ass those motherfuckers and be the best that you can be at each one, you will have significance at each one of those. And it's something that a lot of people need to hear that over and over. And that's like doubling down on your strengths. I mean, when I go be dad, I can't sit there on my phone and be dad and do all, no. The phone gets down. I got to spend time with the kids and be that, because they're going to remember that. So it just takes work. But no, I think a lot of people also want to like get special really quick. Like, I mean, I was raised in a modest household. My dad does very well for himself, but that son of a bitch has a lot of money and he still won't buy himself a new fucking truck.
Yeah.
You know, he's just an old Italian. Yeah. But we grew up in that environment. And when you grow up in that environment, materialistic things are incredibly nice to have, but you don't buy them unless you can afford them. And that means that everybody at your business is getting paid. If you're the employer, they eat, then you eat. Okay, that was like the first thing my dad taught me. And I'm like, okay, like if extra work needs done, Seth, you get to stay and do it with me. And I'm like, but like, what about they're leaving? Yeah, fucker, we own the company. We do it. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So those are the little things that I learned along the way. And do I like nice shit? Fucking right, man. But I think people forget that. And the second they get a little bit of taste of money, they go buy the things. And then it sinks their business because they don't have that mindset.
See it all the time, man. All the time.
You see it on a regular basis, and it's really fucking tempting.
Yep.
Oh, my God, is it tempting, especially when you get extra money, you're like, oh, I'd like to do this. And then you're like, wait, fuck.
Yeah.
It's been a quarter. I got to pay taxes.
One of the things that I say all the time with regards to business is you pay yourself last. If you own the business, you get paid last. You know, you see the money first.
Oh, man.
But you are the last one to take it. And then with the accountability thing as well, you know, you're ultimately accountable for everything, right? Even if the black and white situation where you employ a staff member to do a particular job, and we see this all the time. This is your job. This is what I'm paying you to do. And they don't do that job. And, you know, objectively, they've made the mistakes. Ultimately, you're the person who has employed that person to do the job. There you go. Right? So you're ultimately accountable for everything.
People get the responsibility and accountability mixed up.
Yes.
You're responsible for doing the job, but I'm accountable for you.
100%.
Yeah.
Extreme accountability.
And if they if they fuck up, have you done everything in your power to stop them from fucking up?
Exactly.
And provided them with the right support to not fuck up.
Yeah.
That's being a leader.
Yeah.
That's tough to do.
Yeah.
Because every now and then when you choke one of the motherfuckers.
But we have these, seriously though, we have these discussions all the time, don't we?
Yeah.
When we have a staff member who has made a mistake, you know, and sometimes it can be quite serious, the first thing we look at is, did we give them the tools to be able to succeed?
Man.
Or did we not?
See, that's why I like you. That's it.
Well,
Because okay, so there's 4 owners to Axe and Sledge.
Yeah.
Bob and I have been doing AAR together since day one, and it's been 3 dickheads. Jay he's the phenomenal videographer and editor for us that makes all the cool videos.
Yeah.
So it's been us 3.
Yeah.
We didn't pay ourselves for a long time. We took money when we need to, but we knew we had something when we started getting a response.
Yeah.
And but it's been us. But Pat in Axe and Sledge, Pat and Mike are the day-to-day, like the ins and outs. And Pat's, I call him the pappy of the group. He's a little bit older than us, not much. But he's been through the shit. So whenever something goes wrong, he kind of pulls back the reins.
Yeah.
Says, okay, let's take a look at this from our perspective, from where we sit, make sure that we did all that we could. And then we obviously go about it in a non-abrasive way.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way people learn. You can't just go freak out and scare the shit out of anybody. You got to make sure that they learn from it and then they continue to get better. Of
course.
Because that's what builds a team.
Yep.
And he does an exceptional job at that.
And that's especially what you would have noticed in the past is you learn from your mistakes, not as you said before, you learn from your mistakes more than you do your wins.
Oh,
Just like you would have from your bodybuilding shows. If you had kept winning, you fucking really wouldn't have learned anything.
Bro,
same with business. If you with landscaping is like, and I had my landscaping business for 5 years before I was here at MassiveJoes, and things I fucking hate it because there's nothing easy to do with landscaping.
Nothing.
But like, you think you're gonna have an easy day? There's nothing fucking ever goes right.
Nope.
Nothing goes right. There's nothing easy. You can't hide in the shade because you're out in the sun. Whatever you name it, there's nothing that goes right. But the thing is, but stuff like that then makes you appreciate business and being here in an air conditioned office and everything. So
that's funny you brought that up. There's a really good friend of mine. So how I became this guy, there was a saying that someone told me when I was young, pay attention in life. You want to make it in life, all you got to do is pay attention. You don't got to be the smartest guy. You don't got to be the most intelligent. You don't got to be the best looking. Just pay attention. So I was like, okay. So over the years, I always remembered that saying. So over the years, I just paid attention. And I tried to pull the good shit from every person. So a guy, Jeff Galia, call him JG, he's as dumb as a fucking rock, dude. Like, I worked with him when he was 17. Everybody hated him. He knows he's not a smart man, but that dude is the best motherfucker I've ever met. If you were naked walking down the street and needed clothes, he'd take off every bit of his clothes and give them to you and be like, all right, I'll see you later. He'll just go walking down naked himself. You need those type of people, but the dude was just such a good guy. So whenever I stopped bodybuilding and I was working building fences, he builds fences. He digs holes for a living. He knows he's not that smart, but he's really good at this. I won't say what he usually says. If it has tits or tires, he can ride it. You know, he's a hell of a mechanic and he's a ladies' man. That was his thing, you know. But so I went and worked for him building fences. And like, dude, there were days whenever you're digging holes and there's no shade and it's rough digging in a hole, you know, you're just like, holy fuck, dude, this is a rough day. You know it's going to be a long day, 14 hours out in the sun. And he'd be like, hey, dude, it's going to be all right. He's like, we're in it together. At least we're not in the trenches and got bullets whizzing past our heads in the desert. I'm like, bro, this is one of the shittiest days of the fucking summer, and you still got something positive to say. So those times, like being with him through that, like that's what I pulled from him. And that's why like people are like, how are you so positive? I'm like, I'll never forget working with that motherfucker because he still works in it every single day now, has a beautiful home, a wonderful family, just had his first kid. Like the dude is loving life and he's out digging holes every fucking day. He finds the good in good shit every day. Why shouldn't I? So like that's I think about those things and I try and pull from everybody. And I mean, if on a podcast, if you ever win someone, that'd be just, you never know what's coming out of his mouth. That's the man, dude.
Man, I want to drill down on something that I've seen as kind of a common thread of your life that's very unique to you. Is you've made some pretty big decisions at different points in your life, you know, athletically, personally, from a business perspective, the sorts of decisions that most people don't have the balls to make.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you were successful in bodybuilding and you decided to walk away from that. You haven't really spoken about your private life much, but I know that you do speak about it publicly. Sure. You know, you were married at one point with 2 children and made a decision to move on from that relationship. You've made, you know, you've had some pretty decent contracts with supplement companies and publishing companies in the supplement and fitness industry that you also have decided, you know, I'm not real happy with these. I want to walk away and do something else.
Oh yeah.
What's inside of you that allows you to make those decisions, man? Because a lot of people, you know, and we spoke about this a couple of days ago, a lot of people are afraid of things that prevent them from making significant decisions or, you know, taking massive action in their lives. One of them is self-doubt. the other one is the fear of failure, and the other one is the fear of other people's opinions.
Yeah.
So like what's inside of you that allows you to just like not give a fuck?
Don't know. It's a scary. So that's the thing.
But there must be like, you know,
everything that you just mentioned, like all that stuff, has brought me to this point in my life.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like I was telling everybody about, like there's a lot of micro stories involved in those years. All those things that happened put me at this point, and right now my life is really fucking wild. It is awesome. Most incredible thing that anybody could live through. I'm very fortunate. I'm blessed. My kids are happy. They're healthy. I'm building a foundation for their financial freedom in their future years to have opportunity. Like, you can't ask them for much more than that. But meanwhile, like you said, there's some big decisions I've made along the way.
Huge.
Bro, you got to have some fucking balls. I turned down a contract that, I mean, still to this day, I'm like,
yeah,
what were you thinking? And it was because I wanted to build something of my own. So I don't think about like the here and now so much, because I don't mind work. I don't have problems. I have no problems. I just have work in front of me. That's how I look at everything now. So if I just have work in front of me and I'm willing to outwork any motherfucker there is, I got no problems. And now I have a team of people that are like-minded. It's pretty special. Yeah. So, but the big decisions I've made, like, you know, I had lucrative contracts. We'll cut right to it. My personal life is the big part of this. That's pretty much how I got to the point. I had some really ugly times. I'm no fucking angel. I'm a handful to live with. I think differently. It took me a while to like actually accept the fact that I do think a little bit differently, but I do. And that's me. I would get a great career, make great money, and then just say, I don't like it. I'm going to do something I like, because I'm not going to live with fucking regret. I won't do it. So in my personal life, I was with my ex-wife. We had a kid in college. You have a kid in college? Boy, you got to grow the fuck up really quick. Yeah. And I partied a lot in college. I got a PhD in partying. It was bad. So I had to get my shit together, graduate a little bit early, go get a job. Yeah. But along the way, we, you know, she was with me when I had no money. But throughout the years, we didn't get along. We didn't have the best relationships. We always did everything we could to like make things work. And that's not any way you should live. You shouldn't have to make things work to live. And then whenever I started doing well, we had our problems, you know, a little bit of personal issues, all those things that get hairy whenever you've been together for 7 years. And then as I started doing better for myself, I feel like I was starting to get taken advantage of. All my kindness was looked at a weakness. And like I said, we partied a good bit, and then she ended up having a little bit of a substance problem. And that little bit of a substance problem turned into a really big substance problem. And anybody that has ever been with somebody who has a substance problem knows that it's a big fucking problem. It's nothing that's not a fucking joke. And when it happened, she was tied up. She was into it. It was really fucking ugly. We had 2 kids, a wonderful life. Your kids are happy and healthy. If your fucking kids are happy and healthy, you should shut the fuck up and go to work. There's people out there that have their kids that have fucking diseases, die, a lot of fucking problems. I don't have fucking problems. I just got fucking work in front of me. So I felt I started to be taken advantage of. And at the time, I was an enabler. I was trying to pretend that problem didn't exist. And then when the problem was there, I said, I got to fix this fucking thing. And I was doing anything to fix it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at that point, right, you've got a lot to lose.
Well, then that's whenever at that point, I had All-American Roughneck going. It was the first year. We were I was doing everything I could to make sure things were good. I had a lot on the line.
And your children as well, right?
I had 2 beautiful kids, 2 little girls. And at that time, it started getting to the point that I couldn't control it. Rehabs, classes, anything. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. And at the time, I could tell stories that turn your fucking stomach, and they still turn mine to this day. Sure. But when it got really bad and it became a big issue in our house, that's whenever I said I had to remove the problem. I have full custody of my kids right now. It's 24/7, 365. It was incredibly tough on them. I had a family. Bro, I grew up, and the thing that all you wanted was a good family. My parents taught me, you stick things out. You're together. You're a family. Family comes first. And mine was breaking. So it's and the long and short of it, dude, the honest truth that I don't think I've said out loud yet in public, bro, I broke. Bro, you want to know why I don't give a fuck? Because a lot of rumors were spread on how terrible of a person I was in my hometown. People looked at me different. People that said that I was the problem because that's what was being said. I'm the issue. I'm no fucking saint, dude. But there's one thing I love, and that's my life, my kids, my family. That was it. So whenever you wonder like why I have this little bit of an edge, because going through that and seeing your kids cry and wonder and not have any clue what's going on and go through that and me sit there and say, holy fucking shit, how am I going to make it? You don't sleep, you don't eat, but meanwhile, I'm in front of hundreds of thousands of people on the internet, and they are inspired every day because I do look for the positive every single fucking day of my life, even through that. So whenever I sit here and you wonder like why I am this way and why nothing really frightens me, because I already went through the worst fucking thing in my life I could go through. The only thing fucking worse could be my kid's death. And I do whatever I could to make sure that wouldn't happen. And this right now, like that was the worst fucking thing I ever went through. So if anybody thinks that they can break me because they call me a name, they fuck with me a little bit, you ain't gonna do it, dude. I already know what it feels like because I had my kids crying in my arms, not knowing what the fuck was going on. That's not a feeling I want to go back to. So like now, whenever I have this wonderful life, I have Hannah, that's my fiance now. She lives with us. She's lived with us for like 7 months now. She takes care of the kids every day. This woman came into our lives whenever it was really fucking ugly and changed and showed us love, taught us how to be a family. You get someone like that, you're like, holy fuck. This is someone who was an outsider, came in and changed our lives. Made me feel like I was doing a little bit better, that I was a good dad because we were on our own, a single dad running the company for, I don't know what, a year and a half. So I'm running a company, trying to make everything good, single dad, not knowing if I'm ever going to meet somebody nice, all that. So that's why, how I got to this point and how I know the good shit in life, because things were really bad.
What did you use to get through that though, Seth? Like, how do you, because you do a very good job of illustrating and explaining how bad it was, and that becomes the perspective upon which, or the measuring stick upon which you measure everything else. But like, how do you get through that? Because there's a lot of people who wouldn't have been able to get through that, or could have turned to substance abuse themselves, or there's multiple other options at that point. But how do you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I am gonna take positive action here and do what I need to do to get out of this situation that I'm in? Like, I
had really good people in my life, but nobody really knows what kind of advice to give someone like that.
No, of course not. That's why I'm asking. It's like, no one's ever going to be in that exact situation, right? So, and there's no map, right? There's no plan of attack. There's no fucking, manual about how to deal with this situation.
So you know how I told you, like, I pull the good from every person I meet.
Yeah.
So, and then there's that cliche saying that like everything happens for a reason. And I'm like, holy fuck. So far in my life leading up to that point, I have been through a slew of shit. Wild. Brought a lot of stuff upon myself, but like everything led me to that point in my life. And I was like, this is the hardest thing I've ever dealt with, and it's breaking me. And I'm one hard motherfucker to break. Like hard as a motherfucker, and I was breaking. So I realized that the severity of the situation, and I said, I can't fuck this up because I have two beautiful little girls that are innocent. Like they're kids. As a grown man, shut the fuck up. Go cry in the corner. Get the fuck out of my face. You're a grown man. Do grown man things. But little kids, it's different. So I said to myself, I have to be the best motherfucker I can be right now. Otherwise, these two kids will not be okay. They need me to be both mom and dad right now. Because right now, someone in their life is having a serious problem, and they can't no one can help them. You know, and I was like, okay. So at that point, that's when I said, all right, no drugs or alcohol. None. Don't do it. Because right now, these feelings that you're having are just feelings. You have to feel every single thing that you go through right now. If you don't feel this, you'll never be able to look back upon it and remember how fucking horrible it was. So if you mask it with drugs or alcohol, you're never going to remember it. So I recognized that. I said, I have to feel all this. So whenever I didn't sleep for fucking weeks on end and I'd sit there and just look at a blank TV, I was like, okay, I'm not going to forget this. I can't. Even though I was just an emotional fucking head case, I knew that every day I had to make sure that I woke up and I packed my kids' lunch. I kissed them on the forehead and they felt loved. No matter what, I had to make sure they were okay. So I was like, I got to be the best motherfucker I can be. So, like I said, I recognized that. And at that point, I said, as long as I continue to go through it, and Bob played a big role, talked to him every day of my life, and he was just encouraging. Because he's like, dude, I don't know what to tell you right now. He's like, just keep doing it. You're doing a good job, you know? And my kids also recognized it because we have a bond like no other. You know, it's just, I recognize the importance of it. And I recognize the significance of every single situation I'm in. That's why I don't take things for granted either. Like bro, like I said, I'm here in Australia. Like if you had told me that 5 years ago, I'd be like, no way. I recognize the severity, the weight of every situation. And me being a 34-year-old man now that's been through all of these things, by the time I'm 40 or 45, oh man, there's going to be a lot of good shit along the way.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and now, in the position I'm in, going through all these things and talking about them, this isn't something that's not normal. Other people go through these things. So if along the way I don't help people, inspire people to see the good in something, why the fuck am I doing this? Because you can make money, you can do all that wonderful stuff and get nice things, but I want to impact people. I want to change their life for the good. Not so I feel good about myself, but so that the couple that's having a little bit of problems in their relationship can listen to this and understand that they can work through it. The guys that having a problem not seeing his kids very often because he's always working, it's okay. That's normal. Just when you get them 2 hours with your fucking kids, dude, be the best motherfucker you can be. That's the impact I want to have, because that's the real shit in life. Because I was in a really bad situation and I wasn't able to get advice. So if I was in a situation I couldn't get advice, oh man, I want to be there so people can kind of at least listen to this podcast, watch my videos, be able to pull something out of it that they can go home and fucking have a smile on their face that their wife can see, and they be like, oh, you're in a good mood. Lightens their heart a little bit.
Definitely.
Makes a huge difference.
It's one of those things where, you know, and I guess this is why you are so relatable, is because you're willing to talk about these things openly. But, you know, I can see a lot of people listening to this, watching this right now in, you know, not the exact same situation, but like you said, similar situations, who are going to pull from this. Well, you know, if Seth could do it,
I can do it.
I could do it.
Damn right.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. It's like I said, I love what I do.
Yeah.
And going through those things where I broke, that's where the fuck it came from. Because I was like, you know what, dude? You can't make me feel bad. I know I'm a good dad. I know I'm a good person. I know I got a good heart. I was raised to be a good person, but don't take my kindness for a fucking weakness, because I have good people behind me. And you don't ever want to be abrasive or mean about things. That's why I have other business partners. But it's like those things that, like, you make sure that you... every single day I work to become a better person. Yeah. You know, it's something I don't take lightly, and I don't think anybody should, you know? And as for, that's why I just don't care what people say about me. I know I have a good heart. Everything I do, like the swearing and the intensity and the motherfucking, it's like this. I don't care about my kids. It's not like I love my kids. I love my wife. No, motherfucker. I love my fucking kids. I'll do anything for them. I'll die for them. I don't I like my business. It's nice. No, motherfucker. I love my business. This is my fucking shit. Don't fuck with it. Please don't mess with my business. Please leave him alone. No, you fuck with him, I'm coming after you. But those are the things and how I look at it. You got to be passionate.
Yeah.
You got to have some fucking heart in what you do, because that's how real shit happens. That's where the good stuff comes from. That's how you go from being, like I was saying, like Little Joe to Massive Joe.
Yeah.
Because you fucking love it.
That's right.
I heard that you're quite the fucking educational spirit. You're an engineer and a lawyer, but you run supplement stuffs.
Yeah. Fuck it.
Oh, man, dude. You gotta have some fucking love, dude. You don't just kind of like it.
That's right.
You don't like your company. You fucking love it.
Yeah.
You love it. And if you love something and you start to pay attention to everything in life, it becomes something incredible, because you don't just kind of like it. So you're not just going to let anybody be your GM. You're going to fucking specifically pick that person to do that job. That's like my business partners. I'm very decisive in everything that I do. Not saying I ain't gonna fuck up, but I'm very decisive. I pay attention. I think a lot about every move I make. And at the same time, I'm gonna live my life. I'm gonna have a lot of fun. I'm gonna put a smile on my face. I can't if I look at the negative shit or find negative shit every day, I'm fucked. You're fucked. Just go away. So I look at the good shit. I mean, fuck, it's really hard for me to have a bad day. Yeah. I wake up, I drink my coffee the way I do, I kiss my kids, I have a wonderful woman right by my side. Fuck do I got? I just got to work in front of me. Yeah. Fuck that, I can do that. The people that are going through rough times, parents that are dying a little bit younger than they should, kids that might have some problems, them are the people that I want to be able to uplift. The veterans of the U.S. We're big supporters with that. Our community service, all the people, the first responders, cops, the firemen, we support them. Why? Because they love what they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. Yeah. So me being in this position that I'm in, to be able to do cool stuff, that's my next big step.
The thing is, especially, I just want to say with you over the weekend, the on weekend, even the come and train and meets we've had, the seminars we've had, is everyone's said how nice you are, how happy you are, how you had time for everyone. Whereas, I mean, the amount of people we've seen, like IFBB pros, who just don't fucking want to be there. Yeah. Like, they hate it. And it just doesn't come along well. Whereas you've obviously embraced everything you are. You love being there, love speaking to your fans, which shows, and it shows to everyone who speaks to you. Absolutely. Absolutely, bro. Bro, it goes back to fucking digging them holes. Yeah. It goes back to digging them holes. Bro, I'm here, and we had a fucking crazy turnout here. I'm halfway around the motherfucking world, dude. Halfway around the world, and I'm still having people that are like so excited because they watch the videos and they feel the good shit. Bro, I'd be a fucking asshole if I didn't love every single second. Every single second. Bro, the amount of people that you meet, like, bro, you can pull, I don't give a fuck if you're a gardener or if you're the dude that's serving me a fucking burger. You got something to offer the world. You can have an impact on someone's life by just being the best motherfucker you can be at your job. If you don't recognize that, then you're an asshole. So like I said, I pay attention to every single person. Me meeting you guys this weekend and everybody here, don't think I haven't fucking paid attention to everybody. I'm going to pull the good shit because everybody, when I smile at somebody and they smile back, they feel it. Bro, it makes a big difference. I'm excited. I genuinely fucking love my life. Fucking awesome. You don't get much better, dude. Don't get much better. I don't see how it could. Yeah. You know? So if bro, I might not be here tomorrow. I might get hit by a bus. I might anything, dude. It's wild. If you don't look at things that way, you're fucked. Yeah. Gotta love it, dude. You know, find good people. Be with other passionate people. Be with people that wake up and have that same feeling. And when they're down, you pick them up. And whenever you're down, they'll pick you up. It is a wild, wild turn of events. But yeah, I love it, man. I appreciate it. I don't know why other people aren't. Maybe they're still a little insecure with themselves. I still have my insecurities, but I look at it and I say,
oh, I love my life. I really got good people, people that love me, people that care about me. I can take it for granted.
Seth, one of the things that there's no doubt that you are incredibly passionate about what you do, right?
Oh, yeah.
Your family, your training, your businesses.
Yep.
I can feel that shit, right?
Love it.
Coming through the speaker right now, coming through the screen right now. One of the things that we're really big on, and we cover in a lot of content that we do, is encouraging people to pursue what they're passionate about, and being aware that there's, like you mentioned, like there's a difference between liking something, liking the idea of something, and then being like fucking passionate about something. But a lot of people won't do it.
No.
They'll kind of, they settle, and that's one thing that I say a lot is people settle. They'll settle for a relationship that they like, but they're not really passionate about. They'll settle for a job that they like, it pays the bills, it's comfortable, but they're not really passionate about it. They settle for shit.
Yes.
What do you use? What advice can you give to just go after what you're passionate about in all areas of life? Because it's a difficult thing for people, because we're human, right? It's human nature to do things that are comfortable, to not push outside your comfort zone, because often pursuing something you're passionate about, whether it's your personal life, family life, fitness life, business life, whatever the fuck it is going to cause you a fair bit of discomfort. I mean, it did for you in all areas of your life. Right? Which is a deterrent from doing it, which is why most of the time people do settle for shit. What advice can you give? What would you, if someone's kind of on the fence? It's difficult. It is very difficult. It's really very difficult.
So the way I looked at it was, why not me?
Yeah.
Because I did settle, and then it didn't work out. I was unhappy. When I'm unhappy and I'm not even like old, that sucks. That means I'm not going to be happy for a long time. Cool. So I said, why not me? It was kind of that thing I used a lot, because remember how I said I pay attention about everybody? And you pay attention to people and what they feel, what they're feeling, and what you feel from them on their bad days. And then you realize that they're kind of unhappy people deep down too. And then you start becoming regret. And then I don't want to live with regret. So remember how I said I don't really care about materialistic things? Sure. I like them. I fucking love high-end steakhouses. That's my favorite thing in the fucking world. Spend all my money on food. I have a really nice truck. I live in a very nice home. But I never did those things until I knew I could. And I could pay for it for a very long time if something ever happened, because I have two children. Cool. So All American Roughneck did make money, but I couldn't go and fucking spend it because it had to operate.
Of course.
So I think that's a scary part for everybody, because it's everybody's they want more money, but they want to work less hours and they want to be with their family more. Excuse me. So you want to work less and make more money and be able to do that. That sounds really fucking nice. Can I have some of that too? Yeah. Go fuck yourself. So I knew that if I wanted something, I have to work. Yeah. And my dad told me that if you run your own company, you just have to figure out what 16 hours out of the day you feel like working, and that's what you work. I'm like, well, what about everything else, Dad? He's like, fuck everything else. You own a company. If you want it to be successful, you got to pour your heart and soul into it. So whenever it comes to people they're on the fence about things, legitimately, you are already doubting yourself. You don't believe you can do it. Of course. Sure, that's a good thing. It means you're starting to get scared. Because if you're scared, that means you got feeling. So if you got feeling, that means that you can feel the good shit. So if you want to do it, that means that you can't quit your day job and go do your dream, because then the bills don't get paid and you can't buy the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip and your lady don't want to have sex with you and your kids are mad. Everything sucks. No, dude, now you're going to keep your job, you're going to work your job, and you're going to pursue your dream on the side. And then you're like, well, I won't have time for that. Okay, dickhead. So now you're already finding excuses. Fuck your excuses. Do the work. Because if you're younger than 40 years old, do that and work both things for as long as possible and see what happens. And along the way, you're going to fucking hate yourself. You're going to doubt yourself. Everyone's going to get mad and bitch and complain and moan. But if it's working and making money, and then it continues to make more money, at some point, it's going to be 50-50. You're going to have a job that pays the bills, and then you're going to have your thing on the side that is now making just as much money, and you're at an equal playing field. You're right there. One has to leave now. You either stop your fucking side passion and then take your career to the next level where you're working for somebody or doing whatever you're doing, or you stop that and take your fucking passion to the next level. What's it going to be, dude? Because along the way, you got to do both.
Of course. Yeah.
And you see what happens. And when you get there, and you do it.
And I think when you get to that point, it's a pretty easy decision.
Oh,
right?
fuck yeah, it was.
It's a pretty easy decision. I mean, I've been through that point as well myself. You know, at the time, I didn't have significant financial responsibilities, a family and whatnot. But what you just explained was exactly, you know, you mentioned earlier on how I've got a lot of education behind me in pretty big professional careers that I chose not to pursue.
Pretty good job.
But I did, but I did work in them and did the exact same thing, pursued the passion on the side. It got to the point where it was 50-50. And I still remember the conversation I had with my dad about it. You know, what do I do here? Because I can't continue doing this. It's at that point where, you know, do I go and pursue the passion, or do I go and pursue the professional career that I invested fucking 10 years of my life studying to be able to do? And it was a simple decision.
It really was.
You know what I'm saying? But I think, you know, one of the reasons I've got this saying that I hate it when people say I don't have time. When someone says I don't have time, or why didn't you do this? I didn't have time, or I ran out of time. I fucking hate that. I say, don't say I don't have time. Say it's not a priority.
Yeah.
Don't say I didn't have time. Say it wasn't a priority, and just let that sink in for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Because it really will show you what's important to you.
But how do you prioritize your training and your business ownership? Obviously, you've got, I mean, the difference between you, though, is you've got Seth, the IFBB Pro, and then Seth, the All-American Roughneck and Axe and Sledge. But I guess a lot of difference between a lot of people is if you were 160 pounds, skinny, white, no beard, it doesn't really fit that face of the company which you've got. You're not the All-American Roughneck. So, I mean, you fit the image of what you should look like, in my opinion. And probably everyone looks at it, you look like an All-American Roughneck.
Yeah.
The thing is, how do you prioritize yourself personally between your training, your diet? Do you put that in and include that as part of your job with Axe and Sledge? And
so whenever I was a safety consultant, I was still in my relationship with my ex-wife. And I started All-American Roughneck. Bob was 4 hours away from me living in Philadelphia. I lived near Pittsburgh. So he drove 4 hours every 2 weeks to come in, get pictures, do videos, all that. And then he'd go home because he worked another job too. We knew it was a side hustle. But I remember that I would work all day as a safety consultant. I'd come home, eat dinner, spend time with the kids, take care of paperwork with AAR that I had to, all the business end. And then I would go to my dad's upstairs in his warehouse. He had a small gym. That's where I would train and then pack orders because he gave me a small room. And I'd do that at 11 o'clock at night. I'd start after the kids go to sleep and all that. And I'd stay there till 2:30 in the morning. And then I'd have to wake up at 5:30 to go back to my other job. I did that for about a year. I sleep a little bit more on the weekends, but I still always had an obligation. So I didn't fucking sleep, dude. I just said, I'm going to do this. And a lot of it came from, growing up with my dad, that mentality, and then bodybuilding. That competitive edge, that was my mentality. I was like, fuck it, I can do it. I didn't sleep much. That's why I look old as fuck. It's not all the gear, it's stress.
That's what I think. It's like you're saying, is people say they don't have time for it, but the thing is you made it like a job. At 11:30, I clock on to train, and that's the problem that a lot of people make is they don't have that. Even now, depending if not 11:30 is 12, midday. I'm going to the gym from midday to 2 p.m. That's my gym. I'm clocking on at 12. That's my job. And a lot of people don't have that kind of mindset of having to go train. They just say, I don't have time. Because
So then after that, like I got to that 50-50 point, and I was like, bro, going all in. I left a job where I was getting paid roughly $100,000 a year, company truck, company gas card, company everything, making 6 figures. I had a really good job.
Comfortable.
My fucking mom wanted to kill me. She thought she's like, are you fucking kidding me? You're such a smart man, da-da-da. I'm like, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't fucking love it. I liked it. And then I was like, okay, so when I did that, everything started to change. I had a little bit more freedom. I had more time. And then I'd take all that free time and the extra that I got, put it back into the company. That's how it started to grow. And Axe and Sledge, there's 4 other people that are just as invested as I am. And they're like, you need to do the best you can do, what you do. And I'm like, wow. And that's why all of a sudden everything has gone, got to another level. And we're expecting to do that continually as often and as hard as we can go so that we not only hit the fitness industry, but we also hit people in the mainstream where they just like to be a hardworking motherfucker. Because we believe that we can touch people in mainstream America, that they don't have to work out so much. They just got to have a good mindset. Every guy likes to be fit. Every guy wants to work out. The fitness industry has been booming and it's growing astronomically. So that's where people start to reach in. Even if you just run, if you're a marathon runner, if you're a fucking cyclist, if you're a power lifter, if you're just some guy that goes to the gym 3 days a week, you're going to find out. You're going to find me at some point, and you're going to feel the good shit. That's our goal with it all. And it's like you said, like making things a priority. Yeah. It's tough. It's scary as shit. I mean, people that want to do it, kid, go do it. If you're young, bro, go experience life. Go do shit because you don't have a kid. You don't have any fucking kids. You're not married. Go do shit because if you fucking fail, bro, you're still 23, 24, 25 years old.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
I was 30 years old and I still had no clue what the fuck I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So those are the things that like, and you know, driving force that motivates was my kids. You know, whenever I was like, okay, I'm not too proud to go to fucking work outside and get dirty. And getting dirty goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Every single thing that I've done in my life has led me to this point. If I never would have dug those motherfucking holes, I never would have met Jeff. I never would have known what it likes to work outside and with someone who is in 100-degree heat, finding the good. I never would have led me to being a safety consultant in the oil and gas industry and in the construction industry, manufacturing, meeting all of these different men that were hardworking motherfuckers. They didn't give a fuck. They do the same job every day. They take pride in being a carpenter, but they go home to their family every single day. They make the money. They want to take their kids on the fucking vacation to Disneyland, and they don't give a fuck how much overtime they got to do. They just want to create that experience for the girls that they love at home. Whew, motherfucker, you got some powerful shit. So if I never would have fucking quit bodybuilding in 2013, went to dig fucking holes, do all this shit, and go through all that, I wouldn't be this person. Oh, man, that starts getting me thinking. That's what keeps me up at night.
So when you're starting All American Roughnecks and you're sitting there and thinking, did you guys have a business plan of this is what we want to do and this is the kind of people we want to target? I mean, like when Joe and I sit down, we think like, who's our target market? Who is our target audience? Like, how are we going to get in front of them? How are we going to... Did you think of that, or did you think I'm going to want to create cool shit and hope people want to buy it? Because I mean, there's two ways to do it.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, because, I mean, but the thing is you will see it because you've been to fucking 1,000 expos, and you saw it at the Australian Arnold's on the weekend. There's 50 different apparel booths. Each one, I mean, you go, a t-shirt is a fucking t-shirt, except yours have different letters on it compared to my t-shirt. Yeah. The thing is, why do people want yours? And I know why. I know because I'm from the northern suburbs of Adelaide. Not one of my mates went to uni. Everyone is a carpenter, a brickie, installing solar panels, electrician. I was a landscaper. None of my mates have been to uni. But the thing is, so I mean, you're kind of the blue collar worker. Sits with me because that's all I know. My dad's been with the same business for 41 years at Coles supermarkets, been there for 41 years. So I mean, with me it sits, and that's why I guess I can relate to your brand and relate to what you stand for. Thing is though, did you guys, when you're starting that, and we get a lot like how with branding and how to create a company and how to sell, because as I just said, it's very easy to create a t-shirt, but how the fuck do you sell it to somebody?
Yeah.
Did you guys have that in place of this is what we want to try and do, or
So as a consultant in safety, I drove in 1 year. I'm doing miles. I don't know kilometers. Don't get me too hard.
there's 1.6 kilometers.
I
We'll do the
drove,
math.
thank you. I drove 64,000 miles 1 year as a safety consultant.
Yeah.
So I was on the fucking road every single day. And I just thought, I had time to think. 3 hours to get to the job, 4 hours to get from this job to that job. So I drove the whole time, and I said, because this is whenever I was starting to want to come back. And the whole time I thought, like, I was like, I'm with fucking awesome people. I meet incredible people every single fucking job I go to. And there's one thing that stays pretty true. They all got families, and they all love the shit out of them. But I'm the same guy as them. I'm just safety guy. That hat, this hat, I was like, whenever, because I love hats. That's been my shit, been since I was a kid. I was like, I want to be able to go into a spot and buy a hat that means something. Not just has a logo from a company that makes hundreds of millions of dollars and gets it made in fucking Vietnam and don't give a fuck about me. I was like, I want something that means something, that has a little bit of weight behind it. And then I was like, man, if I created my own company, it's like, guess what I'd do? Started thinking about it all. It's like, what would I call it? What would it look like? All this. And then I was like, okay. So during that drive time, I was like, man, these are fucking all-American badasses. I work with roughnecks on the oil rigs. I go to construction sites where these guys work 10 hours, 12 hours a day in the fucking sun, 6 days a week. I was like, they're all-American roughnecks. It's an all-American roughneck. And I'm like, what's a roughneck? Because that's usually an industry term for oil and gas guys. But roughnecks are just wild, uncouth motherfuckers. They're just wild dudes. And I was like, pretty much explaining every hardworking motherfucker on a blue-collar job site. But then it goes back, like you said, they didn't go to university. They might be white-collar guys. Bro, just because you're a white-collar guy doesn't mean you can't be a hardworking motherfucker. Doesn't mean that you don't put your heart and soul into something for the better of your family. So I was like, man, I got something here. I was like, but when I go to the store, there's nothing I can buy. I was like, this is what I want to do. So I thought about like the A, and a gun. That gun's the R. Why use a gun? Well, in America, we have the Second Amendment. Big believers with that. 95% of blue-collar guys believe that. They feel very strongly about it. I was like, and it's kind of edgy. So I liked it. And I remember when Bob and I were designing it, it's like, I just want an A and a gun. And he's like this. I'm like, no, that's dumb. Like this. And he's like, no, that's kind of dumb. And I'm like, that's what I want it to fucking look like, Bob. So we did that. And then the other was the axe and sledge and the All-American and the American flag and the hexagon logo. That axe and sledge, I chose the axe and sledge because, bro, I swung an axe 8 to 10 hours a day. I swung a sledgehammer, demo and shit for 8 to 10 hours a day. Bro, that shit sucks. You talk about something that will make your fucking hands ache, and then you got to do it again tomorrow, and you got to do it again the next day. You are not going to fucking forget that sledgehammer or that axe. So I was like, I'm going to put it on there, the American flag, because that's who I am, and that was my demographic of people. Little did I know that a lot of people around the entire fucking world felt the same way as I do. So I did have that target demographic of someone like myself and everybody I was meeting. And they all followed bodybuilding because they were like, oh, bro, you're a big guy. I was like, yeah, I'm a former IFBB Pro Bodybuilder, this and that. They're like, oh, like Jay Cutler. And I'm like, you know who Jay Cutler is? And they're like, yeah, I mean, who doesn't? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, boy. And then they name other bodybuilders. And this was on every site. And I'm like, oh, boy, you guys kind of know who these people are, too. Because most guys are just attracted to the industry because it's freaks, you know, manly guys, all this. It's a little gay sometimes, but, you know, wearing trunks and all that, they bust my balls. You wore the Speedo. I'm like, yeah, dude, I did. But it was like they connected with it. And then I saw, that's where I was like, ooh, I see something. So that's how I started connecting the dots. I hoped that it would become what it is today. And I hoped to become popular. But I had visions of what I want to do when I get older, and I still want to achieve to this day and future. Yeah, I've had a goal of it, and I never thought it would be achieved this quickly. That's kind of why I sit back some days and I'm like, man, I dreamed this shit. And it's all starting to happen. And I'm like, oh boy, I'm in for a fucking wild ride because I'm so young and I want more. And at the same time, you know, we're talking about business and my mentality. I'm a little bit different. I'm a risk taker. I'll always be a risk taker. I put all the fucking chips on the table for Axe and Sledge. You know, that's why the logo came. We wanted to keep it synonymous, but put our dicks on a chopping block and said, all right, all this money and all this shit we just did with this, let's see if it works. Because it's not cheap to start a supplement company. So we were like, let's do it. And, but other people, they might not have that in them, or they might, you know, like your dad and all the guys you grew up with that work and take pride in being a carpenter or an electrician. Bro, it takes every motherfucker here to make this world turn. It don't turn without those people. Like I said, I pull the good from every person. The electrician that's coming to my house to put in the spotlights so that we have nice floodlights for the summertime with the kids, and the guy that's going to come and build the pool, the dude that's going to come help finish my basement with me. Bro, if those people didn't exist, or I didn't know them, or they weren't who they were, the world wouldn't turn the same. So it takes everybody to make sure this works, and I think that it's important to make sure those people feel good about what they do as well. There's always going to be shitbags, but, you know, I'm going to make sure that the people that are good, they feel the good from me too.
Everybody's got their thing, right?
Oh man, everybody. And I think that, you know, blue collar guys, they're a little rough around the edges at times, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, I put them, that's my mentality. That's why, you know, bond with a lot of them, a little foul mouthed, but it's okay. It's good. But no, yeah, I love it.
There's so many things that I think people are going to take from this podcast and apply to their lives. I mean, so many. But I think, you know, there's a couple of things that, you know, I want the listeners and the viewers to kind of take away from this, because it ties into a lot of the content that we do produce a lot of. The first one is do what makes you happy.
Oh yeah.
You know, and if you're the sort of person that, you know, you like being comfortable and you like working a blue collar job, and that's what makes you happy, and that's what pays the bills, and, you know, that's what provides for your family, fucking do it.
Oh yeah.
Do it with passion.
Love. Because if it's all right, guys know this that are in blue collar.
Yeah.
They're really good at their job. This guy that does the electrical work for us, you know, well, he was at Mike's house, Pat's house. Yeah. He's at my house. He's going to go to Bob's house. And then when someone asks me if they need something, like, hey, do you know this type of guy? I'm like, oh yeah, call fucking Ryan. He's good. Yeah. And it's like all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, man, like it impacts. And it can cascade, and it's all because he's a good dude that does phenomenal work. Takes pride in what he does.
Of course. He's happy doing it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, especially, you know, this being a landscaper and putting up fences, is when you've actually finished and stand back and look at a job. There is no better feeling than finishing a paving job, standing back and looking at a clean paving job.
So, like, all right, you know,
Jeff, nostalgic now.
Like I was telling you, the guy, Jeff, that guy I worked with. Yeah. Dumb as a rock. And like, we drive by like a fence, or we go somewhere and he's like, hey, I built that like that. I'm like, you did build that like that, huh, Jeff? And he's like, it's nice, huh? I'm like, really good job. Taking pride in his work, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, the other thing to take away from it is if you're not happy doing what you're doing, you know, Seth is a prime example of all of these fears that you have that are preventing you from pursuing, not even pursuing, because a lot of people don't even know what they're passionate about, but trying different things. Yeah. The fear of failure, the self-doubt, the fear of other people's opinions, they're all just fucking illusions. They're not real.
They're not.
They're really in your own mind. So if you're not happy doing what you're doing, if you're not passionate doing what you're doing, don't be afraid to go out there and explore a little bit.
No, you got to. And it goes into, like we were saying, with everything, including relationships. Yeah. I have a woman that she takes care of 2 kids that aren't hers. People that are step parents, anything like that out there, like, you might have a hard time personally, but how you affect those kids' life is impactful beyond your wildest belief. I found a phenomenal person. For about 1.5 years, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, you know? And I knew that I wanted to find something great. Yeah. And then at the most unexpected time, it happened.
It happens. As it often does, right?
And that's it. So, but it's also that time that I had to become a little vulnerable and open up and say, all right, again, goes back to taking a chance, being a little fearful and being vulnerable and opening up. And sometimes when you do that, you get shit on. And sometimes when you do it, it turns out to be great. But if you never do that, you won't know.
Yeah.
And it takes... yeah.
Well, it takes awareness as well. It takes. You mentioned vulnerability, but it takes awareness in the first step, right? To actually take a step back and go, you know what? Am I happy with what I'm doing as a career? Am I happy with my relationship? Am I happy with, everything, every part of my life? And if I'm not, being aware of that and perhaps being a little bit vulnerable and taking some risks and seeing what you can do with it.
Oh, yeah. I was a little bit of a shallow fuck, too.
Yeah.
The joke between my fiance and I, she's much younger than I am.
Yeah.
Never would. I dated girls that were older than me, that were around my age, that were younger. And I was like, I'm not going to settle.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's nothing on them. Like, if you don't like me, fuck me then. Like, fuck it. Like, I'm not no peach to live with. I'm a little bit of an asshole. But it was like, if there's something wrong with me, like that you just don't like, it's not that it's horrible or the life ending. It might just not be something
it's a personal
you like.
thing. Yeah.
Like, just be like, everything was great.
Yeah.
Talking to you, the coffee, the dinner, the sex, whatever, it was great. I just don't like you.
Yeah.
We'll see you. Right, that was like the greatest thing you could have told me.
Of course.
So, but with her, like, I went on this date, young girl. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to get out of it. She's really fucking hot. She seems like a really nice person. Let's go. So I went on. Bob encouraged. He's like, hey, dude. He's like, I think you should, because, nothing's really worked. So what's the worst thing that can fucking happen? I'm like, okay, great. Yeah. We go out, and it was like, I always said, like, I'm not going to date a girl that doesn't drink coffee. That's kind of a shallow move. Like, what happens if she's a phenomenal person? But the thing is, like,
tea.
Fuck you, no. The joke was because, like, in the morning, my shit is my coffee. Like, I like waking up in the morning, having a fresh cup. If we go on vacation or have Sunday morning, I want you to have a morning drink that we enjoy.
Yeah.
So that was the joke.
Yeah.
So, like, at like the first date we went out, nervous, a little like, I don't know what to do. So I was just being myself, and she was crazy quiet. I was like, do you drink coffee? And she's like, oh, I love coffee. And I'm like, okay. Fuck, you're hot and you like coffee. Like, here we go.
Where do I sign?
But it was those things that, like, I just knew what I wanted. Yeah. And then it turns out that this person was, there was times, we had our rough spots of, like, feeling each other out and not knowing anything. But, it turned out to be this incredible relationship that we have. Like, I mean, everything happens for a reason. And even though we got about 10 years between us, she is, I mean, my mom really likes her. It takes a lot. Like,
especially an Italian mother, right?
So she's not Italian. She said, my dad is. My mom is, she said, like, my dad's mom did not like my mom at first. Yeah. But she said she's Italian by injection. A little fucked up there. But the thing was, like, because we grew up, we're a very tight-knit family. Yeah. And, but no, my mom absolutely adores her. Yeah. And it makes me feel like gold. But it's all that shit that you just it's the good, it's the bad. You got to work through things. But I fortunately, everything's really going well, and that's again why. What do I got to be negative about? Absolutely. My kids are in the best spot they've ever been. Companies are doing well. Traveling around the world. We're meeting great people. Bro, it's gonna be a hard time beating me now. Beautiful. I love it, dude. Feels really good. Seth, thank you so much, man. This has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and I know that the listeners, the viewers, are going to take so much from it and carry so much with them for so long from it. So, thank you very much for your time. For those of you, for the listeners and viewers who perhaps don't follow you, give yourself a little bit of a plug. Where's the best place to follow Seth? Instagram at Seth Feroce, YouTube Seth Feroce, and Axe and Sledge at Axe and Sledge on Instagram. That's right there. That's where we have all my stuff, and then on Axe and Sledge, they have everybody will videotape me, and we'll throw up a lot of stuff. So we try and separate the content, so that way there's a little bit of everything everywhere you go. So you're always entertained. It's not the same monotonous shit on every site.
Yeah.
But that's the best way to follow us on everything we got going on. YouTube is going to become something that we start pushing a lot harder, because I love being on this podcast because you're not afraid to ask me those questions.
Of course.
Those are things that not everybody is willing to ask, because they know it's going to be a little hairy of a subject. It's going to be a little fucked up. There's going to be some emotion. I felt some heat here, and I love that, because it gets you out of a zone where you say the same monotonous shit over and over, and it felt good.
It's where the real value comes in, isn't it?
I love it, man.
Well, guys, make sure you follow Seth on Instagram, definitely. Make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel. Make sure you support his companies as well. All American Roughneck. Grab a t-shirt, grab a hat, support the brand, and obviously Axe and Sledge, which is available in Australia through MassiveJoes and a bunch of other retailers as well. Make sure you get behind the brand and support this man and what he's doing and what he stands for, because I know there's a bunch of you who have connected with what he's delivered to you through this podcast. Big Neve, we've been getting a lot of good traction. People who have been listening to the podcast, taking value, posting it in their Instagram stories, right?
We have been, yeah. So if you have liked this, screenshot it, post in your IG story, tag all three of us.
Yep.
We'll share it.
Absolutely.
Tell someone who you think might enjoy it.
Absolutely. You guys know, man, this podcast is 100% free. This is all free content where, we have the pleasure of bringing guests on like Seth. And the one thing that we do ask is, if you do listen and you do take value, we ask a couple of things, actually. We're getting a little bit greedy. The first thing we ask is that you tell a friend, a family member, tell someone in person who you think is going to get some value as well. And the second thing is, take a screenshot of your favorite podcasting platform, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, whatever you're listening to, Stitcher, and post it in your Instagram story. Tag myself, Joseph Mencel, tag Neve Movement, tag Seth Feroce, and we like to repost those as well. I know you guys are getting value. Seth, thank you once again, man. Appreciate your time. Appreciate the value. Neve, my sidekick.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you as well. We hope you guys have enjoyed this episode 13 of the MassiveJoes Show. Until next time, where we coming to and from, Neve?
MassiveJoes.com.
Stay massive. Thank you for listening to this episode of the MassiveJoes Show. Make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform, whether it be SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, Stitcher, or TuneIn. And if you enjoyed listening to this episode of the MassiveJoes Show, ensure that you give us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcasting platform. Until next time, we're coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Stay massive.